In 2018, the complexion of superhero cinema finally changed, for good. The year began with Black Panther roaring at the box office, the first Marvel Studios movie to feature a predominantly black cast, including Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan, became its highest-grossing movie domestically, earning over $700 million in the US alone. Fast forward to December, and Aquaman achieved a similar feat for Marvel's distinguished competition. Anchored by biracial star Jason Momoa, the aquatic blockbuster banked over $1.1 billion globally, besting such established DC heroes as Batman and Superman. These twin success stories illustrate the kinds of superheroes that contemporary audiences are hungry for, and it represents a sea change that's been decades in the making. During the first comic book movie boom of the 1990s, the majority of superheroes were white and male, and the occasional exceptions like the Meteor Man and Spawn weren't creatively or financially successful enough to alter that. Then came Blade, based on the previously obscure Marvel Vampire Slayer. Before Wesley Snipes was cast in the title role, the studio seriously contemplated whitewashing Blade, a choice that still flummoxes Snipes 2 decades later.
Can you imagine the creative person individual who thought of that?
Released in August 1998, Blade grossed over $100 million globally, launching a franchise that delivered a much-needed kick to Marvel's previously moribund cinematic ambitions.
It was the perfect storm for me, so it was a great opportunity to do something that, was rare and would be a lot of fun and loved by the cats in my neighborhood.
But the second wave of comic book movies that followed Blade, X-Men, Spider-Man, and Batman Begins, reverted to the status quo. Even as the supporting cast grew more diverse, the guys in the superhero suits largely remained white guys. The mixed reaction that greeted movies like ELEKTRA, Catwoman, and HANCOCK only convinced studios to stay the course. 2018's superhero revolution can be traced directly back to 2016. That's the year that Boseman and Momoa joined their respective cinematic universes in Captain America: Civil War and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Although Black Panther and Aquaman play minor roles in those movies, plans were already in motion for bigger showcases for both heroes. Ryan Coogler was Marvel's choice to transport moviegoers to the Afro-futuristic nation of Wakanda. And right away, Coogler recognized the challenges, but also the possibilities of changing the superhero playbook.
Yeah, if you think about it too much, it's a lot of pressure, so the pressure was always there, because I like, frankly, I like movies about people of color. I like superhero movies. You know what I mean? I like them both. And the idea that they don't have to be mutually exclusive is an amazing idea. It's an amazing concept.
Even before Black Panther's release, the cast was aware of its transformative potential.
I think it would have been a hard task to not make it political.
Yeah.
Our bodies are political. Just a movie with a African leads is going to be a political statement in itself. Being a black male in the society that we live in today is a political act. Every day I walk around is a political act. So this movie, no matter what it did, would have been a political act.
I think once they see what the movie is, they're gonna realize that this is a totally new experience. It is sort of a movement.
Sure enough, after a record-shattering opening weekend, became a rallying cry for audiences of all races and genders. Aquaman's path to stardom also started small. A mere cameo in Dawn of Justice, followed by a supporting role in Justice League. Director Zack Snyder handpicked Momoa for the part and emphasized his larger-than-life physical presence in those 2 outings. It was Aquaman director James Wan who saw the potential in marrying Momoa's own Polynesian heritage with the character's bispecial background.
It's a very appropriate role for Jason, who obviously is biracial himself, and playing a character who is biracial as well, but in a different way, in that he's half Atlantean and half surface dweller, and I do think Jason brings a lot of his sort of his personality and his own upbringing into this role, which is very appropriate, I think. The theme and story of the film as well, about a guy who feels like he doesn't fit into either the 2 different worlds that he is from, but then he goes on this hero's journey to discover that he's actually the best of both worlds, and I think that's a really good message to be sending to kids out there.
Wan's take on the character resonated strongly with Momoa.
It's an honor to be a brown-skinned superhero, for sure. There's a lot of Polynesian kids who are going to be very stoked to have someone to look up to like that. I'm gonna watch it with my babies, and I think it's gonna be one of the coolest things that ever happened in my life is to hold my children's hand and watch that movie.
Sony's animated hit Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse features Miles Morales as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Released in December, Spider-Verse's total grosses stand at over $350 million globally, and there's already talk of sequels and spin-offs for other characters like Spider-Gwen. It's significant that T'Challa and Miles are the two heroes who have broken award show barriers. Spider-Verse has already won numerous statues, including a Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature, and is the frontrunner to win an Oscar in that category as well. Meanwhile, Black Panther is the first comic book movie to be nominated for Best Picture, a milestone that no other hero has achieved. So where do we go from here? 2019's superhero lineup kicks off with Captain Marvel, the first female-led Marvel Studios production. You can also expect Black Panther's Infinity War dusting to be undone in Avengers Endgame, as his next solo adventure is rumored to start production later this year. Look for DC's new female-centric status quo to take effect in 2020. In February, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn will headline a Birds of Prey team-up movie alongside Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Journey Smollett-Bell. And Gal Gadot will return that summer for Wonder Woman 1984, the sequel to her 2017 hit.
Boys, when you guys grow up, you have Batman and Superman, and I think it's so important that girls and boys will have a strong female figure to look up to and be inspired by.
Here's the biggest side of how 2018 changed comic book movies forever. With Ben Affleck hanging up his bat cowl, the mantle of the Dark Knight is up for grabs. One of the internet's favorite candidates for the next Batman? None other than Black Panther's Michael B. Jordan. It's a brave new world, and we've got the brave new heroes to face it.